Well, hello and welcome to my November garden tour. It is Louise here, and I thought it was about time I took you on another tour of our little urban homestead. Now, I know it's been a while since I posted. I've been very, very busy, and I accidentally smashed the video, my screen on my phone. So I can't do selfies, so you just have to excuse me because I'm going to have to talk while you're looking at things. And right here I've got these beautiful honeybees in these climbing pink rose, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So lots have been happening. I have not kept you updated very well at all, so here is my attempt to keep you updated with things that are going on in our garden. Now, we live in Tasmania, so we have a very, very slow start to growing season because it is so cool. Like this week we've had down to 5 and 8 degrees Celsius overnight still. So, and it's the 21st of November today, my son's birthday. So it, for us, takes a very long time to get things really going in our garden. So I'm going to go and give you a tour of our garden and what I've got going on at the moment. Now, I had an onion in here which is not doing well in this little pot, and in here I have some beetroot which also is not doing the best, and then one of them has bolted, so I think I'm going to have to take that one out. As I may have mentioned, I don't know if I did in my first video, but I work full-time and I'm a single mum to 3 children, so I am very, very, very busy. And so I try and get out in my garden on the weekends, but I have to work it around everything else in my life. And it's one of the reasons why I haven't been posting videos so much, because I just haven't had the time or the energy lately to really take them and then edit them. So I hope you forgive me, but let's go for a little tour onto this garden. Okay, so I'm very excited to show you. I went and purchased a couple of months ago a nectarine fruit tree, and I am so excited. It's in a very big pot. It was bare rooted, and it does look like it has a bit of leaf curl. So if anyone has any organic solutions for leaf curl, I would love if you could let me know what they are. I know you can put sulfur spray on them, but I'm not sure how organic that is. So I've got a nectarine in here which seems to be doing okay. It did throw out a few shoots down below the graft that I have to keep taking off, and usually that's a sign that it's stressed. So I've been giving it some sea salt, which is liquid fertilizer. I think it's seaweed solution, and yeah, it's been doing okay. It's hanging on. This one I'm also very excited about is a peach tree, and it also has a little tiny bit of leaf curl, so I need to get on top of that. In here they're not doing so well, and there is a couple of garlic cloves that I planted. They look like they've got rust, I think, on the bottom, and I think from what I've heard there's a huge year for it here in Tassie, and there's also another couple of cloves in that one. I really need to repot this, but I've got a pineapple sage in this one and it's hanging on. It's not thriving. I need to really get it into a bigger pot. I can't even remember what that was. It doesn't even tell me. It was either oregano or marjoram. It could be marjoram, actually. It died completely back, so I'm not even sure if that is marjoram or if that's a weed. I'll have to look it up. And there's a rosemary in the pot. Not doing fabulous, but it's doing okay. So these 2 pots I'm extremely proud of. They're the biggest pots you can purchase from Bunnings here. I think they're about $12.50, which is actually a really good price. But expect to put 50 litres of soil into them, potting mix. So in here I've got some onion and a beetroot, and I have actually harvested from this pot, and I took one out this morning because it bolted, a couple of lettuce plants, and they were doing really well in there, and it looked amazing. It looked so good. I really wish I had have taken a photo of it to show you before I just harvest them, but I didn't. So anyway, and in this pot I've got again the 2 lettuces, which were the same as the ones I just harvested in the other one. I've got a raspberry plant, and I just noticed this morning when I was out here giving it a quick water, there's actually some fruit forming. So that is so exciting. And in here I've got some Tassie garlic plants that I purchased as seedlings. Now I planted these quite late, I think July, or maybe August even. So they're not quite ready yet, but they're coming along quite nicely. I already picked one because I thought it had witch's broom, which is where the cloves fall reshoot. But when I pulled it out, it didn't. So I was a bit disappointed. But anyway, it kind of was like this one where there was one coming out. I've already harvested the scape on this one and this one. So I'm not sure if that is witch's broom or if it's something else, because when I pulled it out, the other one that looked exactly the same, it wasn't. I just want to show you this beautiful climbing rose that I have here. It is just the best colour. It is so pretty. I really want to take a cutting of it because I really love this colour. It reminds me of my nan, and it was her favourite colour, and it's just beautiful. Okay, so here are my poor apple trees. I've had these for a couple of years and they are not doing so well. My intention this winter was to repot them and put more soil in there. However, time just got away from me, and I didn't get to it. But this is Golden Delicious, and there's 2 fruit on it, and I'm so happy about that. And this one's a Jonagold, I think, or a Jonathan. I can't remember which exact one. But anyway, they're hanging on for now. Hopefully they'll keep hanging on to winter, and I'll repot them, and then next year they'll do even more better. Okay, so if you were with me last summer on TikTok, you would have saw that I planted an experiment of potatoes into boxes, and unfortunately at Christmas time, when they were ready to harvest, and well, I was not quite ready to harvest, I got COVID and I was unable to get out and water them, and we had a really hot summer and a drought conditioned summer. So unfortunately my poor potato plants that had been doing well ceased to be doing well. And so this year I went to pull the first box out, and there was a few in it, but not very many. And so I decided just to leave them in there and see if they would regrow this year. Now, this box has not regrown. The other box kind of exploded and fell apart. So I actually ended up repotting it into a big pot not so long ago, like maybe 6 weeks ago. And actually there's some sprouts coming up, so we may still get some potatoes from it, which would be very exciting. In August, I think I went and bought, well, these might have even been from last year as well. I can't remember now. I think they were. And yeah, there wasn't much in it. I think I went to test this one and there was barely any in there. So I kept them in there to see if they would do any good this year, and they seem to be doing really well so far. So I may get some potatoes out of them yet, and this will be the 2nd year they've been in there. So maybe not a complete fail like I thought it was at the end of last summer. So yeah, I'll keep you updated with the potatoes there. Now, this is a pot that I've just started. I've got a butternut pumpkin in the middle, a broccoli seedling on the edge, and a bean seedling that I grew from seed. I didn't grow the broccoli and pumpkin from seed. I purchased those 2. So this pot seems to be doing okay so far. So hopefully that'll grow into something this year. But look at these beauties I wanted to show you. Look at them. They are just doing amazing. So these are new seed potatoes that I went and got. I'm pretty sure it was in August. Maybe, yeah, I think it was in August. It could have been October. I can't exactly remember. September, end of September, I think it was actually. Anyway, I got these potatoes and they are just thriving. I highly recommend the potato bags, which is the green ones along here. They really do grow the potatoes really, really well. I actually need to add a tiny bit more soil to the top, but I noticed that these are getting flowers on them. So I don't know, maybe it's a little bit too late. They're 3/4 full. I could just put a little bit in. So anyway, these two in the middle are pink eye potatoes. Those two are Nicola. And then after the holidays, so end of October, middle of October, I purchased some Dutch creams from the store, and I forgot how good Dutch creams were. My son really, really loved them. I have 2 boys on the spectrum, and mashed potato is one thing that they eat pretty much every night. And I mashed up the Dutch creams and I forgot how good it was. And one of my sons was like, I love this so much. So I took a couple of plants that had got eyes in the bag of the Dutch creams and planted them. And they are also, this was only a few weeks ago, so maybe a month, 5 weeks, and they are just coming along so nicely at the moment. I do recommend, if you buy these cheap pots from the shop, they're not really meant for pots, but I think they're $4 or $6 each, so they work out quite cheap. But I do recommend you drill a few drainage holes in the bottom so that they don't get too waterlogged. Now, my son also picked out and loved these yellow tomatoes. They're heirloom tomatoes from Bunnings, and it's Big Barrel. Actually, I've just noticed they've got one growing. So it was sitting behind here. Oh my gosh. So this poor plant got, I don't know if you can see it, but I accidentally broke it, and it's dying. But before it died, I actually trimmed off some of the stalks and I planted them just to see if I could get them to grow. And obviously one has died, but one actually grew roots and is surviving, so that's very exciting. I've just noticed there's fungus on this, so I have to pull that out. So that's very, very exciting. So I actually purchased another one of those that I'll show you in a minute, because I didn't expect that one to survive, and my son was so excited and loves them that I thought I'd better get another one since I kind of ruined it. So here in this pot, I've planted way too many, I know, but I did not expect them to survive. And it's butternut pumpkin at the back and some broccoli seedlings. Now, I got this from a discount store called Shiploads in Tasmania, and I didn't actually expect the seedlings to survive because they were inside the store and looked like they hadn't been watered overly well, but they're actually doing quite well. Definitely have something eating them. I'll have to go through and see if I can find what's eating them and get rid of it. But I'm very, very happy and excited to see that perhaps I might get some butternut squash. Now, this pot I got from Kmart last growing season for like $40. It's metal down the bottom and it's got that trellis attached, but they don't stock them anymore. So I know that the pumpkin will grow over that. It's probably nowhere near big enough, but it hopefully will trail onto the fence, and then I can set up some more support along the fence as they grow. So that's my plan. And then here I got another heritage heirloom, which is my all-time favorite cherry tomato, which is Tommy Toe. They go so well and you get so much from them, and they just taste so good. So this plant, that pot I got off Temu, and it's got a self-watering function. I'm hoping it's big enough for that cherry tomato, but so far it seems to be absolutely thriving. I don't know if you can see her, but I have a broody silky, and the other 2 chickens have moved the supports that were in another part. I've got to clean this out. Yes. So if you know, you know with silkies. So another plants I have, just excuse the smashed saucer plate that I've got down there and I've been lazy to put in the bin. So I've got a capsicum mini sweet growing here. Now my boys, I went to the supermarket and they had a packet of miniature capsicums and the boys absolutely loved them. It was a mix of red, yellow and orange ones. So I tried to find them to grow and yeah, found those mini reds, so hopefully they'll be good. In these pots, I just planted these last weekend out of seeds that I started inside. And as I said, I planted them out and then we had a really cold, like 3-degree night that night. So they're under the eaves of the house to try and protect them. And I've just left them there for now. So these are yellow squash, and I never seem to have much luck with yellow squash. Or button squash or patty pan squash, whatever you want to call them. I absolutely love them, but growing them I've never been able to do, and I started these from seed and those ones are not doing very well. These ones, however, are doing a little bit more, well, they're more promising, so hopefully I will get some squash, which would be absolutely amazing. I've put a Roma in there, but it's not doing very well. Over here I've got some zucchini, Black Beauty, but again, they're not doing the best. Hopefully they'll be okay. We'll get some warmer weather now, hopefully. Now that's the end of November, and hopefully they'll come back. My poor avocado that I started from seed and then nearly killed last year because of the drought and me not being able to get out and water it. I really need to give it some TLC, and it was another one I was going to repot and time just got away, so need to clean that out, cut off the bad bit and give it some fertilizer. So I've got a Roma in here and I've also got some more yellow squash there. Now this tomato is doing really well. So there's also a bean plant down there that I started, a Windsor bean. I love the Windsor beans. If you get a chance to grow them. Their seeds last, if you can't plant them all in 1 year, they'll still be good the next year. And they're only bush compact little pot. It's very suitable for pots, and they are a really good eating green bean. This one I got from the nursery and it's just called Sauce Maker. I have no idea what type of tomato it is. So I've, if you don't know, really gotten into canning and making my own preserves last year. So my aim this year was to plant as many tomatoes as I could in pots, because I think I need about 150 to 200 kilograms of tomatoes just to do our sauce needs for the year, or diced tomato needs for the year. Now I'm just giving these little flowers a tap to try and get them pollinated. So I haven't seen any bees around these plants, so I want to make sure that they get pollinated. I think the bees are all too busy with the roses. So I'll just give them a shake, and that's all you need to do, just to, not too hard that you push it off and break it, but just enough. Anyway, this plant seems to be doing really, really well so far. So what I've done this year is I've got about 88 seedlings inside of tomatoes, and I planted a heap of beefsteak ones thinking that they were going to do really well and get heaps of tomatoes off them. But then I've heard that no, you might only get one tomato off a beefsteak. But luckily I had a few backup ones planted. So altogether I've got some Roma, some beefsteak, some Totem, and some cherry tomatoes, which is gardener's delight. But to try and get a head start, and as an insurance policy, if I couldn't get the seeds out, or if I just didn't have enough time or they didn't do well, I purchased some more established plants. So this one in the yellow is the heirloom yellow that I showed you over another spot that's dying. So this is the second plant of it there. Now, there's this lovely old gentleman here in Launceston that grows his own tomatoes, and every year he sells them for $4. And every year I think I'm going to stop and go in and get some off him. And I never do. Because I rent, it can be hard to get in a garden established, especially when there's no place to put a bed, which has been my struggle. And doing pots can be quite expensive because of the soil and the pot cost itself. Anyway, so I went to his little yard, and last couple of weekends ago I purchased 2 off him. So this one's called a long tom, and I looked it up, and it grows really quite long. It's literally long tom. And they grow a long cylinder type of tomato, and I told him I wanted to preserve some and eat them, and I looked it up, and that they're great for that. So this one's had flowers on it, so which is really promising. And then this one is just a gross Liz. He said gross Liz, L-I-Z, but I think he meant gross Liz, which is L-I-S-S-E. But anyway, I've named it what he named it. So these 2 are doing really well because he had a lot of, love and care with them and so many years experience. So they're my insurance policy. Over here, I have a pea plant, which is just a sugar snap type of pea, a little Roma seedling, and zucchini. I got another zucchini in this one, and this capsicum I found at Bunnings. I don't like going to Bunnings, but unfortunately our nurseries are shutting down here. Capsicum long sweet yellow, so that looks good. So the boys are going to try that. Anyway, I've been trying to go to the nurseries, but they're shutting down because no one else supports them, I guess, and they're also retiring, and no one would buy them. But if I had the money, I would have purchased them because that has always been my dream. But of course I don't. So anyway, I had to go to Bunnings and get those, which is very disappointing. But I'm very excited to see if that grows really well and if the boys like it, and I'll hopefully keep the seeds and be able to grow it again next year. Okay, so this is my mess. So in here I've got a chamomile that I've had for a number of years, and last year it pretty much died because of the heat and drought and me being sick and not being able to water it, which was really unfortunate. Beside it, I have a mint plant that I cut back every year, and then it just grows, and it's been in that pot for so long and probably needs repotting because it's been in there for 5 years in that pot. However, last year I noticed there was a funny plant growing out the middle, and I did not know what it was until I purchased those raspberries, and then I noticed that the leaves are the same. So I think somehow a bird has dropped a raspberry seed in amongst my mint, and I now have a raspberry bush growing, which I'm really excited about. So I'm going to cut these down soon, and I might try and dehydrate them again. I've been watching More Than Farmers, and she's inspired me to try and keep this as mint tea. I don't really love mint personally. It kind of makes my tummy feel sick. So I don't drink a lot of mint teas, but my son drinks a lot of peppermint teas, and my daughter. So this isn't peppermint, it's just normal mint. But I'm going to go and try that. Over here, I actually cut this back, I think early last year in winter, and I regret doing it. But this is my blueberry plant, and I've had this again for probably 6 years in this pot, and it's not doing the best. I did cut it back because I thought it needed a prune. It's coming back this year, but nowhere near as big as what it was. So hopefully though I can get some blueberries out of it. In here I've planted a zucchini. I've got a lily, and this back here is a plum. Now in this yard we have 2 huge plum trees that are actually, I don't exactly know what they are. They're tiny yellow kind of like a cherry sized plum. I think they're yellow cherry plums. They're super, super sweet. And I've tried making jam with them, but it's so, so sweet. I didn't really like it. The kids didn't like it. And then I tried preserving them, but you had to preserve them with the seed in it because it's just too hard to pip them. And I don't really like doing that because of the arsenic in the seeds. I just kind of get worried about that. And then I tried pipping them and dehydrating them, and they kind of tasted like sultanas, which was actually quite nice, but the boys didn't like it. And it was a lot of work. So I thought, I'm not going to use them. So this year, I don't know, I might just let the birds get all of the plums this year. They're great to eat fresh, but there's only so many you can eat. There is thousands that come on. So anyway, I think that plum is a seed, but it could be a seed that I saved off a different plum and just planted it. I actually can't remember. I'll have to hope that it grows and see what type of plum comes onto it one day. Here I've got 2 romas that I've just planted out on the weekend, and another couple of garlic cloves that are not doing the best. These pots I've also got zucchini and Roma tomato that I planted as seeds. So I planted these out in here last weekend, and again they're under the eaves to try and protect them because we've had storms and high winds too the last weekend, and not great seedling raising. That didn't come out right. It's not a great time to raise seedlings when there's a really huge winds. In here I've got a snow pea bush, but I was hoping it would climb up over this fence, but it's just not doing much, to be honest, which is kind of disappointing. So out here's my little space that gets very, very all day sun. So in summer it's really hot out here. Excuse the noise, I'm on the highway, so it is very noisy. But it's safe from the chickens. So this was where I was planning on putting all of my vegetables. I've got one of these off Temu, and I do love them, but they're probably a bit on the small side and dry out really quickly. So I've got some beetroot, onion, chamomile, a lettuce at the top, parsley, a couple of beetroots, and a couple of the snow peas in there. In this pot, I've got my beans, which are doing super, super well, and they're the Windsor beans. Now, in my pots, I know I've planted too many plants per pot. However, I was not expecting them to do so well, and I thought that they would, die. And because I'd raised them from seeds myself, I kind of expected that to happen, but they didn't. When I transplanted them, they all stuck, which is great. But maybe it just means that I've got to probably really fertilize everything and keep that up more than usual so that they have enough nutrients and water. In here is another one of the broccoli seedlings that I had in the other one, and I planted Paris carrots. No, they're called Paris market carrots, and they're only a really like golf ball size carrot, and I bought them because I thought they would do really well in pots because they don't need to go very deep. So I'd planted the seeds in there and they weren't coming up, and so I went and got the broccoli, put it in there. But since I've been watering it, there's quite a few actually starting to come up, which is very exciting. So I might actually have to thin them, which is good. But they should be okay in there because they're only very small sized. So if they do well, I'm definitely buying them again because for pots, they're going to be amazing. Now in here, very, very exciting, I have 2 bean seedlings. So I've tried to maximize my pots by adding more plants in and different varieties of plants because I have so many that I want to grow. So I've got 2 bean plants here, which are just doing fabulous. And then down the bottom, I've got this type of pumpkin I've never heard of before. Now there's 3 plants in here, and they're all doing actually really, really well. They're called a North Georgia pumpkin, or North Georgia squash, I think it is. North Georgia yellow squash. sorry. And they're kind of like a really long tubular pumpkin. And they are a vine type. But I thought, I don't know why I purchased them when I did the seeds, but I actually just reordered some more because the plants themselves are doing really, really well out here. So I really want a lot of pumpkins. They don't store the best. I think they only store for like 5 months, but they're good for pureeing and cooking and that kind of stuff as well. So my thought is if I get heaps that I could just can up some pumpkin to have later. So here is the one I got from Bunnings as well, and it's the capsicum mini sweet variety, yellow. So I'm hoping between the yellow and red I will somewhere get an orange, because the orange was my boy's favourite. So that one's doing really well, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's some flowers coming on in there. Now I've planted some burpless cucumbers and they are not doing well. Cucumbers are just one of the things that cucumbers and yellow squash never seem to grow for me. I don't know why, but they never seem to do anything for me. So I've actually just repurchased some more seeds of different varieties as well. And I'm going to see if over summer I can actually get some going this year. I'm really determined. I want them to grow. The boys love eating cucumbers. I love eating cucumbers. They love pickles. Me, not so much. But I can can them for my kids. I'm happy to do that. So I'm going to keep trying and see if I can get some stuff out of it. And yes, I know I will have to stake them, but they're looking so sick that I haven't done it yet, but I will. And then on this side, I really wanted to do some sweet potato, but when I went to the nursery here, he only had, the only type I could buy of slip was a vine creeping type, not a bush type. So my thought is I only got one plant, and I'm going to sort of keep trailing it around this huge pot and just hope that I can get enough sweet potato in there and not let it go out the side, that it will be okay, because actually that's like a 50, 60, I don't know. It's a massive litre pot. So I'm hoping I can get at least a few, would be really lovely. The boys don't overly love sweet potato. I love it. So I thought it won't matter if I don't get a ton of that. Just a few for myself would be really nice. Now, this rose I purchased in October. My nan, my dearest nan, my best friend in the whole wide world, passed away in October, the end of September. And I unfortunately could not get to her funeral because it was on the mainland and I couldn't afford to go. It was going to cost me a few $1,000s, and I just was behind on the rent, so I couldn't even get there, you know. So unfortunately I couldn't make it, and my mum and uncle had televised the service part of it, so I did get to watch that over the internet. And then to celebrate Nan, my daughter and I, my daughter was with me here, we went outside and I was sitting in the garden, and Nan was a huge garden person. She loved flowers. My pop loved veggies. They both got me into gardening at such a young age. My great-grandfather, my Nan's father, used to breed different types of carnations and things and enter them into the Royal Easter Show and win so many prizes, and all these different varieties that are just not there around anymore. So gardening's always been a part of our family and my life. And we're sitting outside and I thought, you know what, why don't I go and see if I can find a rose with her name. My nan's name was Alice, and I wanted to see if I could find a rose with the name Alice, to sort of commemorate Nan and to represent my grief and, you know, give a place directed, because I didn't get to watch the burial side of the funeral. So I wanted to celebrate Nan. So I went to the nursery and I found this rose, and it's not named Alice. There was none with the name Alice. But this rose was called In Loving Memory. And so I thought that was very fitting as well. And it's a deep red maroon rose. So it's actually got a flower coming on. And yeah, I've only had this for probably 5 weeks now. And Nan was 93. She died a week before her 94th birthday. So yeah, this rose, hopefully I can keep it alive in a pot, will go with me everywhere now, no matter where I live. So anyway, over here I have a couple of more beans, and I've planted in some pumpkin as well, and these ones are small sugar. No, I think they do vine, but my idea is that I'm hopefully going to put up some sort of trellis, hopefully around them, and they can just vine over that, is my thought. Also, I've run out of money, so I haven't been able to go and buy another big trellis to put up, kind of like these ones, but I was thinking of a thicker one, so I haven't been able to do it yet, but I really need to try and do that soon. But they're doing really, really well. These are garlic cloves again, and again not doing very well. In here I think I've got golden nugget pumpkins. I think that's what they are. Can't see. Oh yeah, what's that? Yep, gold nugget pumpkin and some peas, sugar snap type peas in there. So I'm trying to maximize my space and plant different veggies in the one pot, so that hopefully I can get a bigger harvest, and hopefully the peas will also feed the pumpkins. So gold nuggets is good for pots. I think they grow up and stay as a bush. Again, I know there's 3 plants in there, which is not ideal. There should probably only be 1, but again, I didn't expect them all to grow. So I'm just going to have to really stay on top of the water and fertilize and just see how we go this year. It really is a trial year. I haven't done this before in pots. Actually, I've never grown pumpkins before. So we'll see how that goes. And then in this one, we've got, again, the North Georges, and just see how well and big those leaves are. And I've planted some Lebanese cucumbers in there, but they've died. Haven't done well at all. In here I have a garlic plant and a couple of peas, and in here I have some more onions and a pea, and I know they're way too close together, but I bought a punnet of seedlings, and basically I just wanted to get them planted. I didn't have a lot of pots at the time to separate them, so, and that's why I've also just ended up with putting a lot of onions in these pots, because I wanted to just get rid of them and maximize that space. This one's doing really well, and the one down the bottom's not doing too bad. These ones on the other side obviously are not doing very well, but anyway, if I get something out of my garden this year, I will just be happy, because honestly I've had nothing for so many years, and this house is really, this house has not been the best for a garden. It's very steep and there's no places to put a bed. And the idea of pots just really put me off, because it's so hard to get things to grow in pots and thrive. I have found I've never been very good at it. But this year, especially because I got into canning last year, I really wanted to try and make an effort this year to get as much produce as I can that I grow, and that it costs me a lot less money, so that hopefully yeah, I can save myself money in the long run. This year, however, will not save me money. The cost of all the pots and the potting mix has cost me way more than it would have done to go and buy the veggies and can them up myself. So I know that this year is a loss. However, that cost will significantly decrease to pretty much zero next year. And if I can plant seeds again, it will just really, not cost very much at all. So I know this year is kind of a write-off, but I'm hoping that in the next few years it will really pay off for me. So with that, I'm going to go inside and show you my seeds that I've planted again. So I don't know if you can see, this isn't really focusing. There we go. These red kidney beans are obviously for eating, but what I'm hoping to do is just to plant maybe 12 of these and see if I can get them to grow, and then see if I can get my own kidney beans at the end of the season. So I'm going to give that a go. I just haven't had the tray space, and so they got put off. I wanted to get the tomatoes and capsicums in first this year. They were my priority, as well as some of the beans and peas. And once they got off, I was going to then hopefully keep going with a few and keep going. So these are a couple of zucchini plants that are left that I needed to find a pot for. They're just hanging on. These are chili, they're cayenne chilies, so I'm hoping they've just come up and sprouted, so I'll have to get them out in a pot soon. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get some cayenne chili, which would be awesome. I don't know if you can see, the light's kind of funny here, but I have, some strawberry seeds that I planted, and I've got a couple of little tiny seeds coming up. And my thought is, because I've got another 2 of those stackable pots, so my thought is to put some strawberries in one, because I know they'll probably do well in that. And I've just planted these thyme seeds. I love thyme. I have it all the time. I'll pinch off the leaves green and just have it in a hot water for thyme tea, and it's beautiful, especially if you've got sore throats and things. It is amazing for that. So I love thyme. I always seem to kill the plants by not keeping the water up to it in the pot. So my thought is I'm going to plant out this lot, and then I'll plant another lot of seeds, and hopefully I can get enough seeds that I can dry some herbs, which would be amazing. Got some basil over here. These poor plants, I need to plant them out. They've gone to seed. This one's a basil, and I bought this from the supermarket. I had it growing on my shelf. I was trimming it, and then I kind of just got forgotten about when I started all of these. I've got a parsley here, so I need to plant them out and see if they'll survive. So this is my second planting. The ones I just showed you, the herbs, and these 3 are my second plantings that I've just done the last weekend. Some more snow peas, because the boys just love snow peas. Some sweet corn. Again, sweet corn's not something I do very well with, and they haven't come up again. So I'll give them a bit more time and see how we go. Pickling gherkin, I've tried, so they're come up nice, but whether or not they transfer into the pots, I'm not 100%. Broccoli seeds have come up. Now it is a little bit messy because I thinned them out and I just kind of left the plants on there. So I've got broccoli, planted another lot of beetroot, early wonder. I love beetroot, and I love pickled beetroot. I love it on salad sandwiches. It is so good. And I made some pickled beetroot from the store. I bought some beetroot from the store last year and pickled it myself, and that worked super well. So I'm going to try and grow my own beetroot this year again and do that. But beetroot in pots never really does that well. They're always very small. But anyway, if I keep going with succession planting, I may get enough. That's my hope. So I've got some oregano, some lettuce. It's a salad bowl mix, but it all came up green. I really like the red lettuce, so I've just reordered some red lettuce seeds. And then I've got some radish here because the boys love radish. So these are all a planting I did last weekend. And these are what's left of my original plantings. So where I had the pumpkins and the Roma tomatoes and all that and zucchini out in pots, they all came from these trays. And the tomatoes have just been taking a long time, and I thinned them out, and instead of just tossing the thinned ones, I actually replanted them very carefully into another tray, because I wanted to maximize the amount of plants that I had to try and get the amount of kilograms I need of tomatoes. So I have the Grand Delight tomatoes here, which I found out are a cherry. The beefsteak in here, now these are getting ready to plant out, I think. I just need to buy more soil and pots, and I kind of run out of money. So I'm kind of waiting. It's not a good time of year either, with Christmas and my son's birthday today, and Christmas, you know, a month away, and then my other son's birthday the first week of January. It's not the best time of year to be buying extra things. And these are totem tomatoes. Now, so far, I'm really, really happy with these plants. They look strong and sturdy. They're stout, meaning they're short, but they're robust. I'm thinking that they're really going to do well in the pots. They are for a pot garden. I found out, I looked them back up, and the actual tomatoes only get to about a 5 centimeter size. So small tomatoes on a small plant, but I think they do really well. So I counted it up, 88 seedlings of tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is prioritize these totem ones. I'm going to still plant out a few beefsteak and a few cherry tomatoes because they're always good. These are all totems. These are beefsteak, and these are the cherries as well. And then over here are Romas. So I'm going to prioritize Romas and totems to hopefully, if I can get enough soil and pots, that would be really good. Hopefully I can get, you know, most of my tomato supplies this year, which would be amazing. I've got some capsicum there, yellow wonder, which are finally, they took a while to come up, but they're finally up. They're ready to be planted out, and there's some more here. Again, I thinned those ones out, replanted the thin ones in here, and they seem to be doing really well, which is awesome. So didn't waste very many, which I'm very happy about. As a gardener, it's just horrifying to thin things out sometimes and just throw them away. So I wanted to try and see if I kept them really damp, if I could actually keep them and grow them on, and I did. It does work. Here, this is some of the seeds, this tray that I did, I think last weekend as well. So we've got celery in here. So I was really inspired by the celery that Little Mountain Ranch Chelsea had. I've never grown celery before, so I'm going to try it in a big pot and see how we go. I've got some chives over here because I love chives, and they, I think, will be good in the pots, although they haven't really come up. And then over here I did spring onions, so I went and got a packet of them because I wanted to know. I love spring onions, but I always seem to have it ready and then not use it in the kitchen. And then I found out that you can actually freeze it really well. So my plan is to hopefully grow quite a few bunches of spring onions, freeze them, and then I'll always have some in my freezer, which will be amazing. So I just want to thank you for watching. This is a long video that I didn't intend on making this long. I just wanted to update you with everything that has been going on. I haven't been posting my videos. I did record a few that I was going to edit and post up, and I just never got to it with everything going on for me at the moment, and so I just didn't get there. But I really wanted to show you how my garden is growing at the moment because it's just looking so good in the pots, and I hope that it actually gets better and better this year. And I want to give you some inspiration if you're like me and stuck in the suburbs or suburbia, and you know, you just, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be a homesteader in the suburbs on a small block of land that's hilly and no place for a garden. So hopefully I'll give you some inspiration. And if you're lucky enough to have a lot of land and some place that you can actually dig a garden bed, I highly encourage you to do it and just give it a try. You know, if things don't survive, try again next year. If you get a little bit out of it, fantastic, you've won, you've done it. So anyway, I want to thank you for being here. Sorry for my smashed up camera, and that's also the other reason why I wasn't able to record. But yeah, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it, especially on such a long video, and I hope to see you back. If you liked my content, please like and subscribe. I'll try and put more content up with preserving and gardening and tips. I'm actually a scientist. I've worked in science. As I said, from a young age, my grandparents have taught me so much about gardening, but I've always lived in the city and it's always been hard to get a garden bed going. So, you know, and in different stages of your life, you have different priorities. So anyway, my priority is swinging back really fully to try and build a thriving garden for myself and my kids. And I hope to take you along on that journey. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you again soon. All right, goodbye.